I took the night shift because it paid more and because nobody talked to you. That was the deal. Sit at the desk, watch the cameras, walk the building every hour, log anything unusual, go home when the sun comes up. The building was a half-finished office tower on the edge of town, all concrete and glass and temporary wiring, waiting for investors who had stopped answering calls. During the day, contractors came in and out, loud and impatient. But at night it was mine alone, an empty skeleton filled with humming electricity and air that smelled like dust and paint. The first week was boring in the best way. I learned every sound, the elevator's tired groan, the ventilation's steady breath, the distant drip of water somewhere in the walls. I learned which lights flickered without meaning and which cameras always had static in the corners. On the seventh night, the building taught me a new sound, a soft chime from the elevator that I hadn't heard before. Not the normal arrival chime, but the sound it made when someone pressed a call button. I looked up at the monitor wall. Camera 3 covered the lobby. The elevator doors were closed. No one stood in front of them. Camera 4 covered the street entrance. The front door was locked and the motion sensor light outside hadn't triggered. Camera 7 covered the stairwell. Empty. I checked the time. 2:06 a.m. I told myself it was a mechanical hiccup, a bad relay, a power fluctuation. This place had plenty of those. I wrote a note in the log. Elevator chime, no visible activity. Then I went back to my coffee, trying not to think about how sound can exist without cause. At 2:14 a.m., it happened again. Same chime, same silence afterward. This time, I didn't just watch. I pulled up the elevator system panel on the security computer. It showed the elevator's current floor, the last call, the last destination. It said the car was parked on floor 1. It said no calls had been made. Then as I stared at the screen, the status line updated. Call registered. Destination 12. There was no 12th floor, not officially. The plans listed floors 1 through 11. The top level was labeled mechanical, not 12, and it was locked behind a contractor key. I felt my throat tighten as if my body understood before my mind did that something was wrong in a way that wasn't fixable with a wrench. The elevator's light on the panel blinked. The car began to move. I watched the floor indicator climb. 1, 2, 3. The camera feed showing nothing but the closed doors and the empty lobby. The elevator didn't pause on any floor. It didn't slow for the usual stops. It rose smoothly as if it had been called by someone who knew exactly where they were going. At 2:16 a.m., the indicator reached 12. The elevator doors opened in the lobby feed. There was no one inside. The doors stayed open for a few seconds like they were waiting for someone to step out. Then they closed again. The car returned to floor 1 and parked itself as if nothing had happened. I sat there staring, my coffee cold in my hands. The building's hum felt louder now, like it was breathing closer to my ear. I forced myself to stand up because sitting with fear makes it grow roots. Standing makes it feel like a problem you can handle. I grabbed my flashlight and did what the job required. A walkthrough. Lobby, stairwell, second floor, back down, routine. The lobby was empty, the glass doors reflecting my own tired face. The elevator doors were closed. I put my hand against them, feeling the slight vibration of the motor resting behind the metal. When I stepped into the stairwell, the air changed. It always did. Stairwells hold cold like a secret. I climbed to the second floor and checked the hallway. Empty offices, plastic sheeting, exposed wires. Nothing moved. My flashlight beam slid across unfinished drywall and piles of tile. Everything was normal, and normal was almost comforting until I noticed that the emergency exit map mounted on the wall had a floor list. Someone had written in pen on the bottom of the laminated sheet, a small, neat 12, where it didn't belong. I stared at it, feeling an irrational anger. Contractors scribble on everything. Maybe that was all. Maybe someone joked about a 12th floor. Maybe the elevator system had a hidden maintenance mode labeled 12, and the panel had glitched into it. I wanted an explanation that lived in reality, because the alternative was too close and too quiet. Back at the desk, I reviewed the security logs. There were no entries for door openings, no motion triggers, no keycard usage, just one line in the elevator system history. Call registered, floor 12, source internal, internal. The word sat like a weight. It didn't say button, it didn't say panel, it said internal, as if the call had originated from inside the car. Like someone in the elevator had pressed a button that didn't exist on the public panel. At 2:28 a.m., the chime sounded again. I didn't touch the flashlight on the lobby floor. I didn't move at all. The idea of standing up, of breaking whatever fragile balance existed in that moment, felt dangerous in a way I couldn't explain. The elevator doors closed slowly on the monitor, and the car descended back to the first floor without a sound. The call button finally went dark. The lobby lights steadied. For a few seconds, the building pretended nothing had happened. I forced myself to stand. My legs felt stiff, like I'd been sitting for hours instead of minutes. I walked toward the lobby, each step deliberate, my eyes never leaving the flashlight on the floor. When I reached it, I stopped. Up close, it was exactly like mine. Same scratches, same tape. Even the battery cover was slightly loose the way I'd never gotten around to fixing. I picked it up. It was warm, not from the lights, not from friction. Warm in a way that suggested it had just been held. I turned it on. The beam worked. Strong, clean, normal. I turned it off and set it on the desk beside my original flashlight. Two identical objects, side by side, both real enough to cast shadows. I felt sick. I checked the time. 2:23 a.m. 7 minutes had passed since the last elevator call. My chest tightened as I waited for the next chime. It didn't come. Instead, one of the monitors flickered. Camera 11. The mechanical floor. I hadn't selected it. The feed showed the top level of the building, a place I'd never been. Exposed beams, large ventilation units, temporary lights strung along the ceiling, and at the center of the frame, the elevator doors. They were open. Inside the car, the camera angle was different than the lobby view. It showed more of the interior, including the control panel. I leaned closer, my heart pounding, and that's when I saw it. The panel had a button labeled 12. It was worn like it had been pressed many times. The button lit up. The elevator doors began to close. "No," I whispered, though there was no one to hear me. The car started to descend. I watched the feed as the floor indicator dropped. 12, 11, 10. It didn't stop. The elevator passed through floors without slowing, ignoring the rules that kept it safe. On the camera, I saw movement in the reflection of the steel walls. A figure stood inside the car now, facing the doors, its outline distorted by the curved metal. As the elevator reached the lobby, the camera feed glitched. The image froze, then jumped. For a single frame, The figure turned its head and looked directly at the camera. At me. The feed went black. Every monitor followed, shutting off one by one until only the ambient glow of the room remained. The hum of the building deepened, vibrating through the desk and into my bones. I realized then that the building wasn't failing. It was transitioning. The chime sounded behind me. I turned slowly. The elevator doors in the real lobby slid open. Inside stood the figure. It looked like me. Not perfectly. The proportions were slightly off, like someone had memorized my shape from a distance. Its face was my face, but drained of expression, eyes dull and unfocused. It wore the same uniform, the same creases in the fabric, the same scuffed boots. In its hand, it held nothing, but behind it, on the floor of the elevator, lay my flashlight, the original one, the one I'd brought with me that night. I looked down at the desk. Only one flashlight sat there now, the copy. "You don't belong here," I said, my voice steady despite the terror clawing at my chest. The thing smiled faintly. "You already went," it said, speaking with my voice but without my rhythm. "You just didn't remember." The building groaned around us, metal shifting, lights dimming. The air felt thick, hard to breathe. "What is the 12th floor?" I asked. "A place where the building keeps what it needs," it replied. "Patterns, habits, people who know how to stay." I understood then. The 12th floor wasn't above the building. It was inside it, a layer that existed only when the systems were quiet enough to listen. A place that learned from whoever spent enough time alone in its care. "You're not taking my place," I said. It tilted its head. "I already did." I raised the flashlight and turned it on, aiming the beam directly at its face. The light hit it hard, washing out the features. The thing recoiled, stepping back into the elevator as if burned. Its outline wavered, edges blurring. The lights in the lobby flickered violently. I stepped forward, keeping the beam steady, focusing on myself in the glass doors behind the elevator. My reflection looked solid, real, breathing. The thing screamed, not with sound, but with pressure. The elevator shook. The doors began to close, fighting against something unseen. I took another step forward and another, never letting the light leave my body or my reflection. The doors slammed shut. The elevator plummeted. The building shuddered, then went still. Silence settled like dust. The monitors flickered back to life, one by one. Camera feeds returned, normal angles, empty rooms. The elevator feed showed the car parked on the first floor, doors closed, no sign of damage. I collapsed into the chair, shaking. When morning came, the day crew found me asleep at the desk. They asked about the extra flashlight. I told them it was a spare. They laughed. "Buildings always have spares," they said. The elevator panel was inspected later that week. No 12th floor button. No record of it ever existing. The logs showed nothing unusual. I quit that job. I don't work nights anymore. Sometimes when I pass unfinished buildings, I feel a pull, a familiarity I don't like. And sometimes late at night, when I turn on my flashlight at home, I swear the beam hesitates before reaching the wall, like it's remembering another place. Because I know now that some buildings don't just store people, they learn how to send them back.